Okay, so we are up here above Cougar Reservoir, which is about 15 minutes, 20 minutes north of Leesburg, Oregon, northeast. And I'm up here with John and my son, and having a campfire. And John's told his story to me a couple different times about what happened to him. But John, if you could just go ahead and tell me and the rest of the folks here about your Bigfoot encounter in California, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay, well, go ahead.
We were going to a place, it's called Kaiser Creek. It's on the backside of the Kaiser Wilderness. I'd say maybe about 60 miles east of Fresno, in between the Yosemite and Sequoia area. And we had seen Bigfoot tracks there the week before. I had went back to do some casting, but the rain had destroyed everything. And after we had set up camp, it was approaching late. It was the day after Thanksgiving. I remember it was raining heavy, sleeting. I went up a fire road that they had blocked off, maybe about a mile or so. And it was raining off and on, sleeting, pelting down on my the hood of my rain jacket. So I'd take that off, see if I could hear anything. Nothing. Keep going, and I came around this one bend, and I was maybe about 20 yards from the creek, and there was a cut back to my right. The creek was to my left, and there was this footprint in the middle of the trail. A perfect 5 toes, I'd say maybe about 16, 17 inches long, right in the middle of the trail. So I kind of looked around, make sure the coast was clear, and took a good look at this footprint. Thought I was going to cast it, even though it was still pouring rain. My concern was, would it be destroyed before I can get back with the plaster? Then I looked over on the cutback to my right, and noticed there was another footprint in the cutback, going off into the woods, going up the side of the mountain. It had come up from the creek, right up through the woods. And as I started looking closer at it, I heard a noise in the leaves. To me it sounded like a lizard running through the leaves, because when I was a kid I used to catch lizards and stuff like that. And that drew my attention to this thicket. And I looked I looked over there and went, huh. Then I noticed in this area it was really, really dark. And I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of strange. And I'm like looking at it, and I'm seeing a torso, and then a head, and then right in front of me, there's a Bigfoot. I mean, this thing, it had black round eyes, about, I'd say like the size of golf balls.
Mm-hmm.
They stuck out of its head kind of like rat's eyes is what it looked like, but to me they looked all black. It was kind of dark anyhow, and it was raining, and it was inside the brush. But I didn't see any pupils. I could see the top half of its face from like here very clearly. I mean, once I saw that, I knew I was looking at an animal, and it wasn't just some shadow sitting in the brush or some shadow in the brush. And the first thing I noticed besides the eyes was this very thick brow ridge. I mean, really thick. I'd say about an inch thick. It looked like the wrinkles in it looked like cracks. Looked like cracks in the skin. It was the only way I could describe it. And I looked at that, it was maybe for a second or so, and then I started kind of noticing, I saw like these little, it was the sideburns. And they were like little white fuzzy sideburns. It was all gray. It had the conical head. And, this was all in a matter of seconds as I'm sitting here going, whoa. And, the first thing is like, am I really seeing this? And then and then it shocked me into reality right away, because it made a sound. It went like a woof sound at me, which made me jump back. And that's when I took off running up the trail to the left again. And that's when I heard it start. I assume it getting up in a hurry, because it sounded like somebody chucked a cow through the brush, because there was a lot of branches breaking really fast, and that's when I got real scared and thought it was coming after me. Had my stick behind me like this, and I ran maybe about 40 yards up the trail, if that, around the bend, and it was quiet. I didn't hear anything after that. I was getting tired, and my feet started hurting from the rocks, because running on the rocks like that, I noticed it hurt your feet. I've never noticed that before on the trail before. But I waited maybe 20, 30 seconds, and then started heading my way back, going around where I had seen it, and went back down the trail to the camp and told my brother. And we went out a little bit later, but he got scared, and it started getting icy, so we didn't go home, and that was the longest night of my life.
I bet.
But what it looked at, it appeared to be sitting down. The way it was sitting, because I was looking right where its feet would have been, it would have had to have been sitting Indian style, I would assume, because I didn't see any foot or legs. If I had saw something that made it twitch, whatever it did to make that sound, you know, whether it was moving a twig or whatever,
Right.
that's what drew my attention to it. And I didn't see anything, I just saw the shadow. I didn't even notice movement, but I wasn't looking at that when I heard the sound.
And how close again were you, John?
I would say I was probably within 5 feet of it. I mean, I was in its grill, you know.
Right.
And when it looked at me and it made that sound, I could see its brow ridge kind of frown at me. And, you know, before that, I don't know. It made that sound and it scared me. But before that, I was kind of in wonder looking at it for a second. Because, like I said, you know, when you see something like that, it's like, is this really happening?
Right.
And then I noticed the little fuzzy sideburns right here. It had little white hairs along the sides. All the rest of its hair appeared to be gray and laying flat. The skin appeared to be dark gray. It looked like the old King Kong. It really did. It looked a lot like the old King Kong from what I saw. But it had these big black eyes that stuck out. And the thing that sticks in my mind the most, besides those eyes, is that huge thick brow ridge. I mean, it was a big piece of meat there, like that. And yeah, that's my experience. Don't like thinking about it out in the woods.
So when's the last time you went camping?
That was the last time I went camping.
And how many years ago was that?
I believe that was 2005, so 6
Yeah.
years. You know, and we went there to check out. Well, we were checking out another area. It was, I think it was called Jackass Meadows, where according to BFRO there had been some kind of report. We had checked that out months before. We checked out all the lakes: Lake Edison, Lake Florence Lake, Huntington Lake, Shaver Lake, and then we finally decided to go on the backside of Kaiser because it was the most isolated part of the wilderness that we could find.
Right.
And that's basically when we found it. You know, we found the prints, which I have on the video. If we can ever get that on DVD or get my batteries to work, we could show that to everybody.
And how big of the stride between
I
steps?
think on that big one, it might have been as much as, gosh, you know, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 feet on that one. You'd have to look at the video and see, but I mean, it's clear to see. You could see my foot next to it. I mean, when I put my foot here, my foot in the little one's footprint, I'd say the big toe came out to about here. The big one was way bigger. It's twice the size of this shoe, and this shoe is almost a foot long. I mean, when you look at my
22 inches.
it looks like a little kid's foot when I put my foot next to that. And that thing went up an embankment in 2 steps. An embankment 8 foot high. I mean, yeah, that one was a monster. Thank God I didn't see that. The